Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Amateur Footballer Unhinged show. My name is Tabriz. I am one of the best grassroots centre-backs in the UK. And you know what? Shall I tell you someone that's actually kind of confirmed that? And I've actually got like a seal of approval. John Salako. How about that, guys? Yes, John Salako.
That's because my man don't see you playing in front of him every week. like I do.
Oh dear. But again, thank you all for watching. This is a show literally for you guys, live and direct. So at the top we have Emeka, plays at the non-league standard. Thank you for joining us, Emeka.
No problem. Good to be here.
We have Dean Lindsay from West Fulham, the current London Vets champions. How you doing, sir?
Good. Thanks for having me.
We have Coach Barry, founder of Independent. How you doing, Coach?
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, all those listening in.
And we have Laura from the Charcoal Vets and a West Ham fanatic. How you doing, Laura?
Yeah, I'm right.
Good stuff. And we have Mel, who's the goalkeeper for Independent Vets, who are in Division 2. How you doing, sir?
Not bad. How about Beckham Cup champions?
Sorry, Beckham Cup champions twice.
Dean got loads of a proper intro. He doesn't even play for the same team as you.
Jesus. So it's sorry. All right. Okay. So, and welcome to the show, Mel, from Independent Vets, Beckham Cup winners twice, league Cup champions, and one of the best keepers I've ever witnessed. How about
that? That's better.
Thank you to everyone who is watching. Heckburn Security, Tabriz, I've seen you play more than Salako. Damn myth. Listen, you know what? Before anything else, I played a charity game today. And again, I love playing charity games. But listen, if John Salako can actually say, you know what, Tabriz? You was man of the match. You was literally controlling the back line. Listen, you know what? I can't be doing anything wrong right now. And I got 90 minutes as well. So, hey,
well done.
Thank you. No one else is impressed? No?
No, I am, yeah. I think that's good.
Well done. Well done. Congratulations.
So, we've only heard you mention John Salako a few hundred times, but your best
Oh dear. But no, it was kind of great fun. And again, I know a lot of money wasn't raised as well. So no, shout out. So this is a goalkeepers show. Dean and Mel, thank you guys for coming on, and of course spending that kind of extended few minutes on the show as well. So much appreciated. And again, this is a show for you guys. So if there's any questions that you guys want to fire to Dean and Mel, please put it in the chat and I will read them out. So let's start with Coach Barry.
He's frozen. Chris Kamara.
Why you start with me? Why you want to start with me?
Oh my gosh!
You always have the best questions.
100%.
Who's it? Is Dean your keeper as well?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realise that. I thought you said you were as a manager of West Fulham.
No, keeper. Yeah.
Okay. Obviously, I know Mel. Well, evening, Mel.
How you doing? Evening.
What my question is, did you both start out to be goalkeepers, or was you ever considering being outfield players when you were younger?
And I'll let Mel answer that first.
All right, cool. So my inspiration probably came from my first ever football game. So my godmother took me to Arsenal, watched David Seaman, and just having him fling himself around the goal, saving everything. He was right in front. I went in goal. I was maybe 6-7 years old. I was diving around on concrete in a playground, ruining my school uniform. But yeah, ever since then, it was all goalkeeping until later in my career when I came out on pitch for a while. But yeah. So that was my inspiration first of all. So yeah, I wasn't an outfield player. I was straight away between the sticks.
Cool. And today?
So I think I actually did start on pitch very, very young. I guess probably started playing football, about 8. Was on pitch then, and then I think my friends saw me playing goal a few times in the playground again, same sort of thing on the concrete. Sort of said, "I'll come down to our youth club, come play." Then I think from about 9, 10 years old, it's just been goalkeeper ever since, really. So yeah, that's what 28 or so years.
And again, I think Mel, you mentioned David Seaman. What was it about David Seaman? And like I know that you said he was kind of diving across, but like what else kind of inspired you to actually be a keeper?
Do you know what? I like the fact that he was screaming at his defenders and they looked scared as hell. So I kind of like to be, and the fact that I'm a little bit of sometimes of a crazy personality. So I kind of, for me, the whole crazy aspect of closing people down and winning that one-on-one duel kind of like gravitated me towards being that guy. I think, and there's only one of us. Like, there's 11 outfield, there's 10 other outfield players, but there's only one guy with the glove that can use his hands. And I guess just making me feel a bit different from everyone else kind of drew me more towards being a goalkeeper than an outfielder person.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Like, the reason I asked that question, when I was younger, a lot of people would get picked last and forced into goal because there was rubbish on pitch. So I'm just wondering, were you lot crap on pitch?
The Breeze can tell you now.
It's
funny. Guys, that's true. That's true.
It's definitely not true. I tell you why. It's funny. Everyone always says that and slates the keeper, but to Mel's point as well, it's like it's a specialist position. There's only one of us. And I think I know we always get slated. Oh, you can't play on pitch. Especially about modern football, you need to be able to use your feet, etc. But no, I could definitely play out on pitch. It was a choice. As I said, from 8. I was playing on pitch, but then my friends realized, and to be fair, I realized, I was like, do you know what? I'm not too bad here. Do you know what I mean? Let me go with this. Let me develop that. Let me focus on that. So yeah, I don't want to say it chose me, but I could see that's where my strengths lied.
But Dean, it's the hardest position to play in the game. That's why I respect goalkeeper because I believe it's the hardest position to play.
I agree.
And the goalkeeper, if he makes one small mistake, it's a massive error during the game, and everybody looks at him. So it's the hardest position, takes the most focus, and it's the most technical position to play also.
Yeah. And
if you go to a professional club, their training is harder than anybody else's training, the goalkeeping training.
Yeah.
Then if any of you've gone to witness goalkeeping training for a week at a pro club, their training is second to none. It's so intense. So people should always respect someone who goes between those sticks.
No, I agree.
I played in goal as well, I played in goal as well.
Oh, okay. Goalkeepers Union.
That's it.
No, I'm lying, guys. I'm lying.
I'm right, is lying.
Gary just picked last.
I wish I could, though. I do respect that position, and I wish I could play goal. But I have a lot of respect for you guys who go in there because they're very. Also, I think you got a bit nutty. Because I'm not diving at no one's feet with my head. I'm not diving at no one's feet with my head down here. No way.
Yeah.
So that's myself. I've got so much respect for goalkeepers.
Yeah, so true. Hepburn Security has come in and said, "Big up Mel, good goalkeeper, great debt collector."
That's
brilliant.
I'm also the independent vets treasurer, so people need to pay up early doors, and I'm always on to them. That's why.
Yeah. Brilliant. Laura would love to hear your question.
Okay, so I always think if it's a big game and it goes to penalties, how are you really feeling at that moment? Are you worried or are you thinking, I'm going to be a hero here? Because I just couldn't stand it. I couldn't, like Barry said, it's just your mind. So how do you feel when it gets to that point in the match?
Dean?
So yes, I guess it's a mixture of, excitement and being nervous, but yeah, definitely leaning towards, this is my moment to be the hero, help the team out, at the very, very last minute. and turn it our way. So yeah, you're obviously nervous, but you're always nervous if it's a big game anyway. You know, when you're tense, but you're excited as well. So it's definitely more so to be in that hero, to knowing, do you know what I mean? Let me take this moment. Let me save one or two of these, maybe three or whatever. Do what I can to turn it our way.
And Mel?
Yeah.
Honestly, when it gets to penalties, I'm super excited. Yeah, I absolutely fucking love penalties. I've lost one penalty shootout in my whole career from 6 years old. Yeah,
God,
and Tabriz can say this. He was my manager. He's seen me. I never lose. And even in that penalty shootout, I saved 3 penalties, and we still lost. Yeah. So for when I get to penalties, I'm like, my team's gonna win this, and that's the confidence I bring into any penalty shootout. So that part, you know, big games in the whole, that's a bit different. Like, you know, I get the nerves before the game, and it's really only after like my first save or my couple of touches of the ball that they settle down. Yeah, but penalties I absolutely love. Like penalty shootouts, not so much single penalties, but like by the time I'm in the groove, I know that I'm going to save at least 2 of these penalties during these five or 6 kicks. Yeah, so that's so it's my favorite part of the game. In fact, it's like if I could do penalty shootout all day long, I would.
Yeah, that's so true. And actually, that's a great little segue to a video that we recorded probably a few years ago now, and it was a penalty shootout. Let me play the video.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes, Mel, let's go! Yes, boy! That's what we're fucking talking about.
Sorry about the language.
Oh, unlucky, Mel. Next one, bruv. Right way. Ah. Well in. Pure power. Yes! Yes!
Oh my God, where did you go?
Mate, it took me like 2 weeks to recover from that.
That was crazy. That was crazy. But Mel, I mean, you know, in that penalty shootout, because you know, in that game, like you was having a stormer of a game. And I think there's a picture that I kind of that I downloaded, which I totally forgot about. And I cannot find it, but I will find it. But like you was like having a stormer of a game. I mean, did you have a feeling the moment it went down to penalties, like, look, like we have definitely got this?
Like as long as so at the beginning of that penalty shot, you can see me saying 1 because I said I will at least save 2 of these penalties. Yeah, so I just spoke to my team beforehand. So as soon as I got to penalties, I was like, I'm going to save at least 2. So like, just make sure you score them. So as long as I can see the team scoring their goals, like I was already in good form. Like I generally get into better form at the end of the season than the beginning of the season. So for me, I was just like, yeah, like I'm already playing well. We've been all over this team. Like we're not going to let it slip now. Like, and I trust my players to score. So I was super confident when I went into that. I knew we weren't going to lose it.
Yeah. And sorry, Dean, I don't have any of your highlights, but I mean, but I mean, again, you know, when you're kind of when you know that you're in good form in a game, you know, it's just something that just kind of just also uplifts the whole team, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think you know, a confident keeper in general can settle the back four, and that flows through straight to the team. So particularly when you're in great form, you know, you're being arms in, you're having great distribution, you know, you're just playing really well. You know, you're in that zone, and yeah, it's it can really have a great effect on the team.
Yeah, brilliant. And you know, I've just found the image. This
Wow.
That's the image. Like I literally remember you like making that save. It was like, oh my gosh, like it was just something in the air. So again, Mel,
Nice
well done.
Thank you, T. Yeah. I'm not a big guy, but I get up there.
Yeah, 100%. Emeka, I'd love to hear your question.
My question would be kind of how you found the transition from now having to play out from the back. I think when I was growing up, I think that's when it first started to come in, where keepers had to start playing out. And I know, definitely some of the older keepers I was playing with at the time definitely struggled. So, how do you find that transition? That's kind of the norm now.
And I'll start with Mel.
I was already a half decent player out on pitch, as Tabrice will let you know. Like, he used to manage me, and I went back from goalkeeper to right back, and I played there for a couple of seasons. So it wasn't that difficult for me personally. The only thing is, it's decision making that I found. Like, probably the most hardest thing about it is that you've got to make the right decision with the pass from the back, because otherwise, if it turns over, that's it. It's in the back of the net. And I found that position from going from right back, where I can make passes into midfield, and if I muck it up, then we'll just win it back, or like 5 out of 10 times it's fine. But from the back, like, you muck up 1 out of 2, and that's it. It's in the goal. Yeah, and also it puts your other players under pressure. So as soon as you do make a mistake from the back, you start to realize that your defenders also in front of you, they get more wary about playing the ball back to you, and it starts to affect the whole team's game. So you just got to be super confident, super careful as well when you've got the ball. And that was probably the hardest transition for me. But actually, just getting the ball back from people playing ball back for me, I've already got a good touch, and I'm used to playing the ball out from there. So it wasn't that great more of a transition. But I am finding now that later in my career, before it used to be like kick the ball out, kick the ball out, kick the ball out. Now you're completely expected to play with it all the time. Like, and I spend almost all I say like 90% of my touches are passes back from the back four to me, and then distribution to the midfield, and it is a great skill now, and the game's completely changed from when I was a kid. It was always lump it forward and see how we play from there.
And Dean?
So I think I've been quite fortunate, because I guess even from like youth club levels, we've always wanted to play from the back. So I had to be good with my feet, and had to learn from a young age to sort of, be able to use it, be able to distribute shorter, right through to apprenticeship as well. Fortunate to have coaches again, just that wanted to play from the back. So they're demanding it of you, so you need to step up. Then I think it kind of transitioned, whereby I guess when I was sort of playing professionally and things like that, then it was long. We're going long. But thankfully as well, for West Fulham, I paid for many years. Used to be Pearscroft. We wanted to play from the back as well, so you just have to get used to it. But to the point, it's like an almost added pressure for a keeper, because we've already got the standard pressure, as it were, of any mistake with your hands or whatever, it's a goal. Then you're being asked to play with your feet, and you can also make a mistake with your feet. So it's added pressure. But I think luckily, sort of throughout, when I've always played, coaches have always wanted to play out from the back. So I always feel quite comfortable.
Mm-hmm. And like now at kind of grassroots level, you've literally seen how, and I think Mel's kind of touched upon this, how teams now like to play that kind of passing style, and if you're not that type of player, especially defensively, it can affect the rhythm of the team, the like rhythm of the game. How like much is confidence when it kind of comes to making a mistake? If it's a bad ball or like a bad pass. I mean, how much does that play on your like mind at kind of grassroots level? And I'll start with Dean.
So I think weirdly, as I've got older, I've learned to deal with when you make a mistake better, because I think I genuinely think one of the biggest things to see how good a keeper is how you respond to a mistake. And I always try to respond to be equally as confident, equally as commanded if I need to come for that cross, or if I need to get at that person's feet again. You need to just get it out of your head as quickly as possible. Know it's a one-off. Do you know what I mean? Think about all the moments when you've been quality, great, team have relied on you, etc., and just fight to get back in that zone. So that's kind of how I deal with it. And as I've got older, I felt that I've been able to respond, recover, and get it out of my head quicker and better.
And Tamel?
For me, it all depends on when the mistake happens in the game. Like, if I make a mistake and we're 2-0 up, then I will just shake it off and be like, look, it's only one goal. But if we go 2-1 down, it's like the end of the game, then it kind of stays with me. I'm not that great at shaking it off. I will be like, I'll take it all the way into the next game, and it will be with me. It'll be in my mind, and it will be a thing of, I need to play better than I would normally this week or in this game than I did in that game to make the balance swing the other way, so that people realize that I'm a good player. I'm good in this position. So I get extra determined. And that's how I count in. But it does stay with me. Like, it will stay with me all week. Like at work, I'll just be there typing away, and then suddenly I'll think about the mistake that I made on Saturday, and it will stay with me. For the playing with the feet thing, I try to mitigate the mistakes by going out to the wings more with my passing than going into central midfield. I find that those are punished far worse when you give it to a defensive midfield player and he loses the ball bang centre of the pitch or centre back. So for me, I try and mitigate those risks with my feet by like going wide and into almost safe zones, than playing riskier passes through the centre of midfield. But that's kind of how I deal with my mistakes. I kind of just until I take it to the next game and I play better and I get a great performance, man of the match performance, I'll keep it with me as motivation to make sure that I play better, I play the best I can possibly play in this game.
Yeah, well, I love that. So we can have a question from Mo. Sorry, from Mimi from Mo Coaching. He's actually part of the that panelist, but unfortunately he couldn't be here. And I'll start with Dean first. Do you think outfield qualified football coaches are allowed to train goalkeepers?
Good question. I mean, allowed, yes, of course, but I'd say if you're wanting to, I think, develop a keeper, improve a keeper, I think because it's that specialist position, I do feel that a goalkeeper is going to be a better coach to a goalkeeper as opposed to an outfield player coaching. I understand, obviously, yes, of course, you pass your badges, your qualification, things like that. But I do think there's nuances. So when you're talking the mentality, if you haven't been a goalkeeper and you haven't been in those moments when you've made that mistake in a big game, I think that side of it is going to be hard to coach someone. So, yes, you'll be able to do drills, footwork, hands, etc., all that sort of stuff, crossing, etc. But I think in the nuances, in those little, the mental side, how do you respond to a mistake? Those sort of things, I think would come better from a keeper.
Yeah. And to Mel?
So yeah, being an outfield player, I think you can just like reiterating what Dean said. I think you can do the drills, you can do the crosses, you can do the shots, you can do all those keeper drills. But can you give that keeper advice on how to be a better goalkeeper, how to close down angles, what they should be actually doing in these different situations? If you're not a goalkeeper and you haven't been in those situations, and I don't think you can. Yeah, I don't think because you haven't been between those sticks, you can't tell a goalkeeper like, oh yeah, you should have, perhaps been 2 yards further up, or you should have come out and closed him down, or if they're in an across the situation, make sure that you're covering the back post for that guy. Like all these things that you can't give those sort of advices to a goalkeeper because you've not been between six to actually gain that experience to pass it on. Yeah, so I think you can do the drills and you can work on their reflexes and you can perhaps improve their physical attributes, but the mental side, I don't feel like there's nothing you can do there. And being a goalkeeper is, I would say, 75% mental and 25% natural physical attributes.
And so I know that we like train. Dean, do you train with West Fulham?
So we kind of train in pre-season, but then from there we don't actually train. So it's an interesting one whereby I don't sort of train goalkeeping, now as it were, which is an interesting position to be, I guess. But yeah, we train pre-season, and after that it's kind of like games. Everyone does their own thing in terms of gym, running, etc.
Okay, and like Mel, with like our training, we don't really do goalkeeper training. So when like you're at training, you're like predominantly play as a right back or literally as a kind of right winger. Would you like to see a lot more goalkeeper training in training?
100%. I say this all the time. Like I would if you tell me you're actually going to run drills for me, then I would be there with my gloves. But because of the type of training we're doing more like match style, 3-touch, 1-touch play. It's not really tactical or drill based, but just because we've only got like an hour, that there's no real point in me being between those sticks. I could be between those sticks and only have like 3 shots in the whole session, 3-4 shots in the whole session. I'm not gaining anything from that. I'm better off sitting there working with my feet and practicing that side of my game. Though I do feel like because of that, it takes me a lot longer to get into form. I get into form later in the season. Like the midway to the back end of the season, I'm playing outstanding. But the beginning part of the season, I'm struggling a little bit because I'm not really even used to being in an 11-a-side goal for positioning sense, even with pre-season. Pre-season is only a couple of games, for 2-3 games, and it probably takes me a good, I would say, 7 to 8, 10 games to get really into my flow for the season. And I feel like training, playing 11-a-side goal, doing drills would really help that. But that's the thing about amateur football. You don't have the time to be having a 2-hour session and paying upwards of £150 for the pitch to be able to do that. Yeah, so it's just one of those things you've got to take on board, and then pick up like a 5-a-side, playing a 5-a-side team just to keep on point, playing in goal. But yeah, it's a difficult one. I would much prefer to have drills, and I think it'd probably help my game.
Cool. Back to you, Coach Barry.
Back to me.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I got my headphones in. No, I was going to say to Dean and who was it? Mo asked about coaching. What we do with the youth, we let them all join in with like rondos and stuff like that. I'm just a normal coach. I'm just like a level 2 coach. I'm not a goalkeeping specialist. So it's difficult for us to get in South London. There's a shortage of goalkeeping coaches. So it's really difficult for us to do the proper the goalkeeping training. How do you when you're playing when you were younger days, were you trained or did you just go off your natural instincts? Did you go and get specialist goalkeeping training? Because that's a part of the game which I think there's a massive vacuum, especially in grassroots, for that type of goalkeeping. So all we do is just take shots at the goalkeeper, like I said, crosses, stuff like that. There's nowhere where we can really send the goalkeepers for that specialist training unless they're getting a development or into academy. How did you develop your skills? How did you develop? That's what I'd find.
And I'll start with Mel.
Just on the playground, I grew up from quite a poor background, so parents would never been able to pay for a specialist goalkeeper coach, even if there was one around at that point. So it was just in the playground, at training, and just in matches, just playing again and again, gaining experience, and just trying to work out myself what works. Yeah, there was no YouTube back then for like drills and all the rest of this stuff. It's what I'd recommend to you, Barry, is to use the online services that you have with people running these drills, and you're seeing professional coaches and goalkeepers and taking it from there. Yeah, so yeah, but unfortunately, it was all. I would have loved to. That I think it would have really improved my game. I did go to like semi-professional level. At that point, there was more goalkeeper training involved, but that was like after I left university. So that's probably only like 2 or 3 years that I played at that level that I had actual goalkeeper training, and I actually felt my skills really, really come along. The fundamentals were probably the best I've ever had them at that point in my life. Yeah.
And to Dean?
So yeah, when I was younger, I guess just to echo the points there, there weren't any specialist goalkeeper training or trainers. It was kind of just all off eye, just playing those 5-a-side games, playing those 11-a-side games, playing in training, sort of learning off eye, watching other keepers. Used to do that a lot whenever I could. Watch the older kids, how do they play, and that's how I kind of learned. So I guess no real specialist coaching. I mean, when I then got to academy level and then like actually did training every day, I'd say in that first year of training, like just the amount I learned was just crazy. At like 16 or whatever. But in terms of sort of even when I was at semi-pro, didn't even have really specialist. You had training so that keepers would train the keepers, but you wouldn't have necessarily another goalkeeping coach. So I would just echo the points there. YouTube, there's quite a lot of good drills to get online. Try and get your keepers to watch other keepers when they can. And yeah, that's how I learned. So that's probably a good place to start.
Cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
Barry, or get your experienced goalkeepers that you have, Barry, at your disposal to help train your younger youth team.
I'm here, Bill. I hear it. I'm listening. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you straight. Because what Dean said is very. Because I've been around a lot of semi-pro clubs, and he's spot on. Till this day, they haven't got specialist guys, goalkeeper trainers who come in and teach the keepers, even at that level, and that's semi-professional level. I don't know if Emeka's got it at his club. I'm not sure. No, yes, Emeka?
Nothing.
No. Okay, nothing.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's a massive gulf there, and it's surprising that you mentioned this. Just to go on to this one, when I finish hanging up my boots, I do plan on going into coaching. So that's going to be my.
You should.
Yeah, I was thinking about either goalkeeper coaching or actually as a manager, but now you're seeing that there's a massive vacuum there. I think probably must.
I think there should be a goalkeeping academy somewhere local. There's no goalkeeping academy. No. All the goalkeepers, they just, if they're lucky enough to play for the district or go to, like I said, get into a development club or get into an academy, they're very lucky. They get that, like Dean said, and you said as well, Mel, your game went to another level once you got that professional training. There's loads of boys with so much potential, but it's very hard for us to push them on because we've got no experience of coaching goalkeepers.
And like that, I'm just thinking about it now. So do you think goalkeepers are just underrated in like general? That's the reason why like we don't see, goalkeeper training even at non-league level?
The courses are there to breeze. The FA do put on courses for goalkeeping coaches, but like they said, how much clubs are, like semi-pro clubs, are going to pay for a goalkeeping coach? Their budget mainly goes for the management and the players. That's what I think, anyway. Dean must know because you've been in that as well, and Emeka must know the budget will go to the manager and to bring players in, then bringing in specialist coaches. I don't know what your views are on it. That's just my kind of view.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. When it comes, it goes without saying, I guess, the vast majority of semi-pro teams have very little money, and that's where that money goes to the manager and to the players. In terms of having spare money for specialist coaches, it's very rare. Even when you get a money bags coming into a semi-pro club, even when that happens, it's very, very rare you even get those clubs to get specialist coaching. So yeah, that the money just doesn't go there. And you're right, there's definitely a gap, to say the least, there, and an opportunity as well, whereby it's just not done.
Okay, interesting.
My thoughts on it is that if you have 22 people in a squad and only 2 of them play from one position, and you need specialist coaching just for those 2 positions, that's not where you're going to spend your time and your resources. You're going to spend it on the other 20, right? Because it can have a bigger impact on your team as a whole. And it also, most coaches and managers are out and field players. So therefore, that's where they feel comfortable. They don't feel comfortable taking the goalkeeper courses to then train their goalkeepers, etc., etc. So I feel like that's also one of the main reasons why you see a massive gap in the coaching for goalkeepers at all levels.
But I think, we all can say, finding a goalkeeper at grassroots level is like gold dust. Actually finding someone that actually wants to play in goal, I can kind of, firsthand say, getting Mel to actually come to independent, and can also, even at Norton, easily saved the team 20 odd points a season. Easily. Dean, I can imagine you've saved West Fulham crazy amounts of points. Hey, for you to win the London Cup defensively, you guys must have been strong. It just, it kind of just doesn't make. Actually, Mel, everything that you've said in terms of spending money on a specialized position rather than 20 outfield players, it does make sense. But also, clubs should know, if you've got a really good goalkeeper, a goalkeeper's career, we're talking 25 years plus, if you really look after yourself. So I'm actually surprised that but they don't really invest a lot more time and money. That's just kind of my thoughts about it.
So I do have a quick question, but I'll quickly preface the question. So I think going back to what Mel said earlier, I think if you go back in the day, you had players like Schmeichel, Seaman. I think they were kind of seen as superstars of global football. There was something, maybe it was like the long hair. I don't know what it was. There's something about David Seaman that I think people wanted to be David Seaman. But I think nowadays, if you kind of look at goalkeepers, even like globally, like who's even like the top goalkeeper at the moment? Like I don't imagine any kids that I want to be Alisson or I want to be Donnarumma. I don't think they have that. Like if I think like my semi-pro team, when we have a training session, when like new players can come down in pre-season, you might get 60 or 70 outfield players. There won't be a new goalkeeper that comes down. And I think that's because kids are growing up wanting to be Phil Foden and Jadon Sancho and not Jordan Pickford, because he's not. I don't think he's inspiring anyone. Whereas back in the day, Seaman probably was inspiring people to want to be goalkeepers. So maybe that's what the issue is. Maybe there's not a global superstar of goalkeeping.
That's a good point. That'd be good. It's a
I
really
liked
good point.
what the goalkeeper did last night, though, with that assist. Did you see that?
I'm not going to see that, to be fair. But again, I don't even know his name. What's his name?
I've never seen him before.
But the one plays for England, Sam Johnson.
Lobbed that ball.
Yeah, Johnson.
Oh my God.
I mean, Grealish did a lot of work as well. But yeah, it was nice. It was nice.
Bloody hell.
Yeah.
God, he's got some arms on him, that one.
Laura, would love to hear your question.
What was we talking about? Because I had to nip off. So I don't know what
yeah. I'd say just kind of ask your question and then like hopefully it's not being answered already. And
I was thinking when you do another how a goalkeeper feels kind of question, when it gets to added time, like the 92nd minute, and the ball goes in past you, and that's it. Do you blame yourselves or do you blame the defenders? Or is it
Mel, I want Mel to answer this first.
There's 10 other people in front of me meant to be defenders. Yeah, I'm not the last line and only line of defense. Yeah, so and there's all in football. There's phases of play. So there's at least 3 phases of play before that ball hits the back of the net. That there's been 3 other mistakes in front of me before that ball managed to go there. So if everyone does their job in front of me, we don't have to pick the ball at the back of the net. I shouldn't even be making saves. But if they don't, then I'm definitely blaming the 10 in front of me and then knowing about it as well. I'm a bit like a Schmeichel.
You let them know.
Yeah, I really let them know. I'm a bit like a Schmeichel back there. They will hear me.
Yeah, 100%. Mel blames everyone else apart from himself. That is so true.
But then I suppose that's how you've got to be, haven't you, really? You've got to have that confidence. Otherwise, what's the point of being there? So, yeah. You blame everyone else.
A little bit of fear goes a long way.
And Dean.
To be honest, I echo those points. I'd agree with that. I mean, even if I make a mistake, as I said, there's 3, 4, 5 other things that may have happened before that ball got to me. So, collectively it should have been stopped. So I'll blame the outfield players.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. Blame the outfield players. Straight up.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to ask my question.
Yeah. Go on,
the question was, who is the best keeper in the world at the moment?
Let's start with Dean first.
It's a tough one. It's hard to pick one for me, but I'd probably say that the keepers that are probably the best in the world at the moment, I'd probably say Alisson, even with those mistakes. I think you look at the last 2-3 years, I think he's been outstanding, especially in the Champions League run. Ederson, which is interesting because they're both obviously Brazilian. And then probably who I'd weirdly probably pick, maybe, I think he's definitely on their level, probably Oblak, the Atletico keeper. I picked those 3 as well because they're outstanding with their feet. I mean, Ederson's distribution is just a joke. I mean, we were talking about distribution earlier. It's just frightening what he can do with the ball for his feet. I think for a goalkeeper, like genuinely frightening. I'd probably go with those 3 as my, at the moment, who I'd pick as the sort of top 3. And when I sort of make that selection, I'm talking, I sort of try and look the last 2-3 years.
Yeah, fair enough. And Tamel?
Yeah, it's a good point. So there's different parts at the moment because there's so many different facets in the goalkeeper game, such as like now distribution. It's a bit hard to pick one. So like obviously Ederson is the best, followed by Alisson. Alisson's probably slightly better at shot stopping, but at my actual best in the world, I think a goalkeeper's there to stop goals. Yeah, and that should be the main focus. And I think Donnarumma is huge. He's massive. He's like the new like Peter Schmeichel. When he comes up, he covers absolutely everything in the goal. And I think between him and a slightly left field goalkeeper as well in Kasper Schmeichel, I think he one-on-one, he's immense. You cannot get the ball around him. And
Manuel Neuer gets no respect out here from any of you.
You know what? It's not. It used to. He would have. If you'd have asked me 5 years ago who the best goalkeeper was, it would have been sweeper keeper Manuel Neuer. But he's on the decline now, and there's other goalkeepers who are coming through. Yeah, and he's in front. His defense in front of him means he doesn't have a massive amount to do all of the time. Yeah, and when I looked at Donnarumma playing in the European Championships this year, I was like, that's like the new Buffon, and he's going to be head and shoulders above everybody for a number of years.
To be fair, definitely a shout out to Donnarumma. The only reason why for me I didn't pick him now, I know like they've just won Euros. Like I know he'll make his big move soon, and he'll probably be the best keeper for about 10-15 years. Because to your point, Mel, his all-round game is just immense. And I also think mentality-wise, he's got it. He's got it in abundance. So for me, he probably in the next couple of years, when he makes a big move somewhere, he'll probably be the dominant keeper for many, many, many years.
Oh wow! So Dean, you're saying that PSG is not a big club?
I was about to say that.
No. What I mean by that, I'm not saying that like that. What I mean is, he's made the big move. My point is that I still think he needs to. For me, it kind of needs to be Champions League there for me. If you're playing in the French league, he's playing with Messi and that now, great. But I just think for now, that's why I picked Ederson and Alisson ahead of him, because I'm looking at the last 2-3 years, and I think club-wise they've just done that little bit more. I know he just won championship, the Euros, but that's why for me, massive respect for him. Honestly, like I said, he'll be the best keeper for a decade at least. So yeah.
Cool. And I've got a question. I mean, when the incident happened with Peter Cech, did that affect you, like guys as keepers? I mean, wearing like a head guard, injuries. How does those kind of situations affect your kind of mental preparation? And literally, if you are coming out for like a one-on-one, do you kind of flinch? Is your thought process completely different? Because now we've actually seen a lot more head injuries to outfield players and to kind of goal keepers. And literally, I know Cech, that was really, really serious. How did kind of that affect your kind of careers? And I'll start with Dean.
I mean, yeah, it was scary, that's for sure. And I can only imagine what impact it had on him personally, mentally as well. In terms of impacting me, I don't think it impacted me too much, because I guess I kind of think what's happened to me when I've played, thankfully I've been played for many, many years, and I've never had what I would call a substantial injury, nothing bad like that, never something anywhere near that. So I guess I kind of base it on what's happened to me as a keeper, or what I've seen in games that I've actually played. So yeah, it didn't. I mean, it didn't impact me personally. It might make you more wary, but it didn't impact me personally, as I said, because thankfully I haven't been injured badly. For me, it wasn't too bad.
And Tamel?
Definitely had an effect. I think I definitely registered it in my game. Yeah, but in the spare of the moment, it's not something that goes through your mind. It goes through your mind when you're subconsciously thinking, but when you're coming out for a ball, it's not. But I also feel that, especially in the amateur, in the grassroots level, keepers are not protected by referees at all. Yeah. So there's been many times when I've come out to claim a bouncing ball, I've gone up, I'm at least 2-3 foot over the player, but they've just jumped up and turned their back on me and jumped into the back of me and knocked me out of the air, and I've landed on my head my shoulder. I've got serious injuries that way. And for me, there's no intention to play the ball. All it is hoping that I make a mistake by hitting me, and I'm having to fall from 6 to 8 feet straight down on my head. And I feel like those should be red cardable offences. Yeah,
Really?
and that's how strongly I feel about it, because the damage done. That's a broken collarbone. That's a broken neck. That's like coming from those sort of heights.
It's a fractured skull.
Yeah. So for me, that referee seems to be open season for challenging goalkeepers in any way you want. Yeah, and and cards are never produced for those sort of challenges, whereas I see them produced for studs up and those sort of challenges across the pitch, but goalkeepers are not protected in any shape or form. Like
Why is that? Why does that not happen?
It's because the rule is if your studs are up and it's dangerous with your feet, but not if you're challenging someone in the air. So unless you're elbowing them, it doesn't matter how you challenge them. It's the damage that can be done.
Onto your own head.
Yeah, because I'm going over you because I'm claiming the ball and then going down. So it's I don't know why it's not treated like that. I feel like it's a part of the game that's not been looked at. And while we're not protected, we'll keep getting these serious injuries. I know many goalkeepers who have come away with broken collarbones from those sort of challenges. So for me, it needs to be addressed, and it will take something happening at the higher level for it to be looked at. But it happens more regularly at the lower level, that I find.
Yeah. Well, that was quite bad. What happened to him, though, wasn't it? I mean,
yeah. I mean, I know. I think Mel will probably know more. I know Czech, it was kind of touch and go if he was going to play again. And again, he was kind of lucky that it was it was literally it was kind of on the pitch. So like he had professionals literally around him. But we always talk about if a serious injury happened at grassroots level, broken leg, broken collarbone, fractured anything, how long would it take an ambulance or like the kind of medical services to actually get down to a game? Those few minutes could actually save someone's life, and that's kind of something that we have to really, really, really think about. Dean, what's the worst injury that you've ever sustained?
Oh God, I hate this.
Do you know what? See, weirdly, I've just been really fortunate. I mean, genuinely, like.
Please don't come on the next week.
Hurt my back and stuff, but nothing. I haven't broken a bone, nothing like that. Probably ligament damage in my finger. Stopped me playing for a little bit, but not too long. So that's probably my worst one, basically, where it's still a little bit sort of bent to this day. But other than that, thankfully, been really fortunate.
And to Mel.
Still, there you go. That's my finger. Camera. That's slightly out of shape because I broke it and dislocated it playing in goal. So that's probably the worst one goalkeeping wise. I did a really bad groin injury on a more waterlogged pitch going from right to left, which put me out for like 6 months. That's probably the worst one I've had.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I tore my groin muscle from like some very unusual injury that only the physio I went to had only seen one. She was actually a football physio. She had seen one player in her whole career with it. So it took me a long time to tell you. That's probably the worst one I had. But then followed that with actually playing in goal was the broken finger. I couldn't play in goal for 3 months.
How do you feel when you come back after an injury like that, when it's so long out? Are you very sensitive at first?
You've got pre-season to get back to normal, but I was wondering how my hand would hold up because I couldn't actually clench my fist. I couldn't clench my little finger into a fist. I had to go through physio to get to do that again.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And that was like 3 months. That was like 3 months later that I could actually get back to doing that with my hand. So yeah, it was definitely there on my mind but I think things like I was playing in goal without my finger safe gloves. So now I know that's like religiously like finger saves because how I did it was coming down on a ball like that and then it breaking that way. So yeah, those small things give you a little bit more confidence, and then once you're back in the swing of things, like you've done your preseason, you don't really think about it again. Like I can't think of once I thought. I only think about it whether I'm going if someone's throwing me and go on a 5-a-side game and I don't have my gloves with me. That's the only time when I actually think about it, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to go for any of those balls.
No, fair enough. And this is probably going to be like the last round of questions. Coach Barry, that's that with you.
I'm just analysing what Mel and Dean said. I was going to reverse the question, but I won't. About goalkeepers with these little tiddly finger injuries. I know what sort of injuries you guys give out. I know that already.
Let me smash a ball at you and hit your finger that way, and then see how you feel about wanting to put your hand in front of a ball.
I bet you smashed a few people, Mel, and you, Dean, with that little innocent smile up there.
You know, I'll say this: I broke a player's leg. I broke a player's leg.
I told you.
Awful.
Exactly.
It was awful. Both coming out for the ball.
Yeah.
His leg went between my legs, and I ended up landing on his leg and breaking his leg. And it's the worst thing in the world. I'd rather have broken my own leg.
It's really horrific to watch that stuff. See, when you see it and you think, broken his leg, it's really bad.
Yeah, awful. But sometimes you got to let them know, right? Right, Dean? Yeah. Knees up when you come for the ball. Yeah, you know, elbows, you know, a little push. Yeah.
Barry, don't piss him off anymore, for Christ's sake.
All right. Well, my question though, I've got a question. It's like it's for Mel and Dean. It's like, how do you, when you're at your lowest points, because goalkeepers are, like I keep saying, is a different position. How do you deal with it mentally? How do you recover when you've had like a real shocker, bad games? We've heard all this about other players where they get, especially strikers, I find that when they get on a low, it can last for a very long time for them. And sometimes a goalkeeper makes a mistake, all the pressure's on him, mistake again. How do you do it mentally, recover from that? Because it ain't just playing. You've got to be mentally strong to be between those sticks. What makes you guys strong to make you good goalkeepers? Because I know good goalkeepers, but they're not mentally strong. They make a mistake and they crumble in the game. And you have to sub them up sometimes for them, give them time to recover and come back. How do you guys stay with that focus right through?
And I'll start with Dean.
So I think definitely got better with this over the years. And I think that comes with experience. But I think the way I try to deal with it, I just try to deal with it in isolation. You know, that one moment in a game, how I performed in that game, how I performed in my last 6, what positive have I brought to the team, you know, what goals have I saved, what points have I saved, etc., what penalties have I saved. I sort of almost have to do a recall on all the things that I've done that have been strong, good, positive in terms of, you know, saves, communication, whatever it is to have given the team that positive in either that game then or the last 5, 6. And it's basically that recall to say, look, I can do this. I am a great goalie. Do you know what I mean? This is what I brought to the team. This is what I bring to the table. That's what I need to focus on. Now, that is obviously easier said than done, but that's why I do it. I kind of focus on, you know, that in isolation, and think about everything else. Think about it as a whole to get past that.
Cool. And to Mel?
For me, being a goalkeeper means you're only as good as your last mistake, and you're pretty much judged on that. And I find I'm a bit like Dean as well. I don't look at the instant in isolation. I look at, you know, how have I played in this game over the course of the season. How have I played? How do my team rate me? They know within them, like, you know, if I made a mistake, but they know what I bring to the table. And normally it's having really good teammates. Like in this team, like we do play for a team that can be slightly judgmental. I know T will say the same to me as well, but there's certain characters in that team that will really pull you out of that. For me, it's like our left back Jamix. He always raise my head, get my head back up, get me back into the game. And I feel like if you've got a good teammates around you, no matter how mentally strong or mentally weak you are, they will bring you back. And that's what good teammates do. Yeah, they know that sometimes you need an arm around you. Sometimes you need to stick and just tell, look, mate, that was shit, and you're better than that. Do better. But having those characters in your dressing room will make a big difference to helping you get over that mistake and fulfill your potential. And that's what I find. Yeah,
definitely, because you set your own standard.
Yeah,
and once you drop below that, everybody sees what's a keeper.
Yeah,
because of the position. I keep saying that because where you are, you're so visible in the game to what you do, good or bad, especially small mistakes. That's why I said, hats off to you guys. Really do have hats off to you guys to go in that position.
Yeah. And like I said earlier in the call, for me, it's when I make a mistake, it gives me the determination that, you know, I need to make the next save. I need to play better for the rest of this game. And it actually drives me to play better. And I normally generally will play a lot better after a mistake than before one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are you both very vocal?
Yes.
To Breeze, is Mel very vocal?
I think he is. I think you say break your legs if you don't do as you're told.
What about you, Dean? Dean, are you very vocal?
I'm vocal, yeah. And I guess it gets, you know, more so, you know, in a more intense game, more intense moments of a game. But yeah, in general, I think you need to have that level of
that helps you, though, isn't it? That vocal helps keepers as well.
Exactly.
It helps.
It definitely helps me. It kind of keeps you in the game, on the edge, so it keeps you focused. And I agree with that.
Yeah.
So for me personally, I'm more vocal in close games where I feel like I'm needed.
Yeah.
To, when we're walking a team, and I can tell that I don't generally have a lot to say. I'm not going to talk for the sake of talking. Everything I say is pertinent to what's going on the pitch, and I will generally relay that, even if it's other phases of play that isn't defense. I'm a bit of a second captain on the pitch, so I will relay that stuff to my forwards. So I'm vocal in that, and I always give my opinion and share my thoughts, but I'm not always on my defender's back unless they need me to be. Yeah, just for the sake of it.
Do you think you have an advantage because of your vantage point on the pitch, because you can see what's happening all the time and you can kind of gauge what the other team are doing and how they respond, whereas those that are actually in the thick of it are kind of a bit in their bubble, aren't they? So I always think that goalkeepers are really vocal at any match. They're shouting all the time. But do you think you see a different perspective to the game?
Dean?
So yeah, I agree with it, I guess, and that's why I try to communicate, because there are things that, you know, I guess we can see, you know, the whole pitch, as it were. That's like, I guess, the old saying. So yeah, and that's what I try to communicate. It might be something that you're seeing, but, you know, because your sort of centre half is having a sort of duel with a centre forward or a centre mid with a centre mid, you can't maybe quite see it. So yeah, that I do think that there are some advantages from where we are, from what we can see. And you know, you got to help your teammates out in terms of, you know, someone's coming right shoulder, you know, those sort of things. You've got to let your teammates know. So I do think there is a certain advantage from where we are.
And Tamel?
Yeah, I feel like I'm very tactically aware, just as a player generally, and being in the vantage point of being able to see the pitch from my vantage point, which is the only person who does that other than the other goalkeeper. I feel like I can see things like spaces, too much space between the lines. You know, we're playing too high. Yeah, our forwards and midfielders not linking up. These are the things I can see easily from my position, and I feel like it gives me in that position. And sometimes I feel like I'm the only person that can see it. Yeah, because everyone else is very caught up in the game. Even our managers are very caught up in the game. They're not always aware of what's going on tactically, and I feel like I'm always aware of that. I'm always seeing that. I'm not so caught up in the rough and tumble of the game. It's more tactically that I'm viewing it at all stages of the game. Yeah, and it makes it easier to relay that at half time to the team.
Yeah, very true. Very true. And the last question to Emeka.
Oh, kind of goes back to Mel's point about the protection. Do you not also think the goalkeepers are overprotected when it comes to things like corners? Like, if you get to English, like, just breathe on a goalkeeper these days. It's a free kick. So, what are your thoughts?
What level are we talking about?
All levels. I've even been in teams. we've been in teams where, like, say the games that we're winning by like a goal in the last few minutes, and we have a corner. We just tell the goalkeeper to come out, knock into someone, and go down. The referee will give it. It's the way it is nowadays.
True.
Mel?
Do you know what it is? Yeah? Do you know why goalkeepers do get protection? Because we're coming to the ball to get it. Most players don't play like that. So if you're blocking me from coming to claim a ball and you're not challenging for that ball, then that's a foul. So that's the reason why we're mostly protected. But guys, in the Premiership, sometimes I do realize things happen very quickly. And when I'm watching on TV, I'm like, how did you get called for that? Like, he's barely touched you. Yeah. And if the ball's there to be challenged for and the player can actually get to the ball, then I feel like the protection is too much. But at the grassroots level, we get no protection. I get guys literally who will drag my shorts off or my top off of me to stop me coming to claim the ball. And that happens all the time. And I rarely ever get a blow or a whistle in my favor. Yeah. So I feel like at the top level, they're overprotected, but in the grassroots level, the refs have got too much. There's no linesman, is there? So refs have got too much to focus on at lower levels, and the goalkeeper they're not worried about. Like, unless he's been punched or kicked, he's not. And even when that happens, that just happened to me a number of times. They don't see that either or care. So yeah, so that's my opinion of that.
I know there was a game within the last 3 or 4 weeks, and the goalkeeper actually put his hand around the throat of the winger, and the winger grabbed his shirt, and he got the goalkeeper got a red card, and then they had to then put another player in place, and then that team lost. I've never seen that. I've never seen that before. Yeah, that was mad. That was really annoyed.
Well, goalkeepers are well, they are like renowned to be like a little bit crazy and a little bit erratic. So I'm not surprised. And to Dean.
See, I agree on the points there. I think overprotected, Premier League, that level. Grassroots, not protected at all. The only time where I feel in grassroots, those cheap ones get nipped in the bud, and they actually do get blown for, is when you're in a cup final or a semi-final and you've got linesmen. So yeah, to your point as well, you've got linesmen or you've got a better standard of officials for that final alongside the linesmen. That's when you get protection. But other than that, at grassroots, yeah, you get clattered into all the time, completely off ball, refs not blown up. And to the point there, yeah, the refs got a lot to look at and a lot to see. If they don't have linesmen, it can be much harder for them to do. So that's the only time in grassroots where I feel those ones get caught, and blown for.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Dean and Mel, thank you so much for coming on and actually spending an hour.
To Breeze,
Coach,
ask Mel something. A quick question to Mel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Breaking news. Here we go.
It's not breaking news. It's not breaking news. Mel, we've got the best amateur football on our panel. How do you rate the best amateur football, Mel?
Now, be honest.
Be honest, Mel.
Don't worry about that.
Actually, you know what? Okay, so
you play with him. He's played with you from Norton, isn't it?
Wait, okay. So you know what? I just want to say I've known Mel for close to 20 years. So
that's why I'm asking him. That's why I'm asking him to bring.
I've known Mel for close to 20 years. So I know whatever he said.
Friendship.
I'm actually really intrigued. Actually.
Hang on, that don't matter.
I want an honest answer.
Yeah.
Friendship out the window. This is football. This is football talk.
Yeah, go.
What's wrong with Mel? Cat got your tongue.
The priest is frozen him.
Is he frozen?
He's frozen.
You've chosen him to brace. Just because you got.
Oh, he's gone. I didn't take him off.
To Breeze, bring it back on to Breeze.
I didn't take him off. I swear down to you.
So did.
I didn't take him off.
God.
I didn't take him off. I will.
That is
okay,
a lie.
hold on. I'll actually wait a minute because I'm sure he's
bad?
eager. I'm sure he's eager to answer this question.
I'm intrigued. I want to hear the answer.
Oh my God.
I'm sure he's. I'm sure he's.
I'm in.
Oh dear. Oh gosh. Actually, Dean. So, do Do you ever think we are? Do you think we will ever see a goalkeeper win the best player in the world, the Ballon d'Or?
Question. I'd probably say no. I mean, I think we're gonna have to do an awful lot to win that. Yeah, it's gonna be so tough for a keeper to do. Maybe Donnarumma can do it. I don't know, but you're gonna have to basically win an international tournament and probably win Champions League and Premier League, something ridiculous like that. That's the only way it's coming home. And then even then, you'll make the list, but you're not gonna win it. You're not gonna win it. So yeah, I think that's a bit too far. Yeah, a pull too far, unfortunately, for a keeper.
No, fair enough. And Mel, honestly, like you was literally frozen. I don't know if you heard Coach Barry's question.
No, I didn't. Was it
You
about
did,
a better?
Mel, you
No.
did hear the question.
I swear, I lost my
did.
Wi-Fi went down.
Bruce cut you off, didn't he?
Yeah, this is the Ballon d'Or question.
No, it was
No,
you.
the Bruce
You
is
know,
definitely not Ballon
you
d'Or.
know the
He
best
cared about
amateur footballer. You know the best, allegedly, amateur footballer. You've played with him and known him for 20 years.
Oh, talk about
Yeah. I'd like an honest opinion of what do you think of Fabrice's game. Football, all football, not personal.
I've
just
played
football.
I've played with Therese for a long time. I've in on and off, probably for about probably somewhere up in like 15 years. He's great when he starts. Yeah, he's strong, really strong in the challenge. Yeah, like sometimes his concentration can go. There's a couple of instances like where he's lost the ball in the sun. And,
It happens.
Yeah,
It happens.
But generally he's super strong. He's lost a few yards of pace in a couple of years, but that happens to all of us. Yeah, and he's good in the challenge. And but what I'll say about him is that when he doesn't start a game and he comes on as a sub, and he's shocking. He's absolutely terrible. He's not like literally like. My grandma could play better than him. He's like,
that's harsh.
When he hasn't warmed up properly,
really good.
Yeah, put better than Fabrice when he comes on. Yeah, he's not. Yeah, but generally, I would say he's definitely up there in one of the best centre backs that I've played with. He reminds me a bit of I would say a bit like a Sol Campbell, I'd say, but a lot less fast. Yeah,
Okay.
But I do rate him. So yeah.
I thought he said he models himself on Bramble. Didn't you model yourself on Bramble?
Titus Bramble.
Yeah.
Well, isn't he just the shit Sol Campbell?
Frozen out in a minute.
Yeah, no, I mean, and again, I think Mel is. I would agree with Mel.
Is that honest opinion, Fabrice? Honest opinion?
I would kind of disagree in terms of when so when I kind of come on as a centre back, especially,
in the cup final, you were brilliant when you came.
Yes, because literally I had time to study the game and I warmed up. And
you came on defensive midfield player.
Yes, and I came on as defensive midfield player.
Yeah.
If I do come on as a centre back, it's very hard because again, your concentration, especially if it's a close game, it's again like you were kind of being put in a very hostile situation sometimes. And Mel is right. But I mean, again, like the team is strong. It's very hard to literally change a centre back partnership when you're winning games. Like, for example, when we played Wallenham it was raining. It was really a game for I'd say the hard nuts. And the two centre backs were playing really well. There's no way a manager should change a centre back just to get that person on. I did come on in like midfield, and I even struggled to even kind of get up to speed with the game because it was so intense, it was so fast, it was it was pouring down with rain. I do agree with Mel. But hey, it is what it is. If I can get a few minutes here and there, I'll be happy. Yeah. That's okay. I want to thank Mel and Dean for coming on to the show, spending an hour and 10 minutes with us. Thank you guys so much. Again, Dean is with West Fulham, the current London Cup vets. We are definitely we are definitely coming for that trophy, Dean. And Mel, independent, 2-time winners back-to-back of the Beckenham Cup. And at this present moment in time, top of Division 2, unbeaten with, I believe we've probably got the best defensive record, I believe. But again, do not comment that. So again, guys, thank you so much for coming onto the show.
Oh yeah, brilliant, Dean, brilliant, Mel.
Thank you, guys.
Brilliant.
Thank you, guys. Cheers.
Cheers.
Alrighty. D. Wow, that's absolutely amazing. So before we go into the second topic, we're going to take a quick commercial break. And we are back. It was kind of great to have Mel and Dean on, right?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah, it's good hearing things from a goalkeeper's perspective. So it was very interesting.
Really good. And again, just a few more housekeeping. So I have a video out, Defender football drills with myself and Nana. Please go and watch it on YouTube. And tomorrow I have the London Cup first round review. I believe the show is going to start at 10. It's going to be about for about half an hour. I'll kind of go over the results in the London Cup for the vets. So that's going to be happening tomorrow, starting from 10. So let's go straight into the second topic. And again, we'll talk about this for about 15, 20 minutes. Moneybags, Newcastle. I think everyone knows in terms of what the situation is now at Newcastle. Newcastle are the richest club in the world with over 300. Well, their owners have, I don't know, like a net worth of over 300 billion. And I would love to get people's opinion about this. I have my own thoughts about it, but I'd love to get yours. And let me start with Emeka.
Yeah, I think good for the Premier League. I think for the next few weeks, even months and years, people are going to be having more eyes on it. It's another game where people be interested. Usually, if like Newcastle on a Saturday or a Sunday, I'm not going to watch it. But it's now like, yeah, people want to be seeing what they're doing. In terms of what I think they'll actually do, I don't think the money's going to benefit them at all. It's still Newcastle. I think regardless how much money you offer people, if it's not like Manchester, London, it's going to be really hard to get any top quality players anyway. No history at the club. Yeah, I think they're going to struggle. Like they're going to be able to get, I don't know, like the best of the middle tier. and he'll probably end up finishing like if they scrape into like the Europa Conference next season, that'll probably be like their limit. Like, I'm an Arsenal fan and we're terrible. Regardless who Newcastle buy, we'll still finish above them. Terrible. This is like really, it's teams like Arsenal and Spurs that really should be scared of Newcastle getting money. And I was like, Arsenal, I'm not worried. They won't be able to buy anyone. No one want to go there. And yeah, no, I'm not scared.
Wow. Okay. Laura?
Yeah, it's too far away. It's too far. Because I think, didn't Manchester struggle for a little bit at first because of that? And then it changed, didn't it? People didn't mind going to Manchester. It became a bit more up and coming and a bit more vibrant. But yeah, it's just too far. And they'll have to pay out big money, I think, to attract big names. But I can't help thinking that Lingard might end up going up there. I don't know why.
But that's my point. Lingard's not gonna.
He might, if he doesn't
What's he gonna do?
I don't know, but I just got a feeling that would be a name they might go for. He ain't going to come back to us, is he?
The thing is, they're going to fill the team with like 11 Lingard, level players, which for Newcastle is definitely going to be an improvement. It's still not going to be good enough to challenge the Arsenals, the Tottenhams, even Everton. Everton will probably still finish above them with the depth that they've got. That's the other thing. Even if you buy players, you might be able to make a good starting 11, but like they haven't got the depth. It's going to take them a long, long time.
It is, isn't it? It's going to take years to benefit from this, really. It's not going to happen overnight. I know they're all outside going, yeah, like, right, calm down. It's going to be a while yet.
So true. Coach Barry would love to get your thoughts. And again, yes, this is live, so please get your questions in.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of disagree because I think if you go back a few years when Keegan was there, they had a great team with great players. Do you remember that? When they almost won the league. That went very long ago. You can say that, but once they get the right manager in, it changes a lot of things. The right manager comes in, a lot of players will go to Newcastle. Plus, they've got money. Who thought Man City would be where they are today? No one thought Man City would be where they are today. I think that changed a lot. If someone's going to pay you, $250,000 a week, you're not going to go there because you're in Newcastle. You're going to take your backside up there. $250,000 or 100 grand. What are you going to go for? Oh, I'm going to go London for 100 grand or go Newcastle for 250 grand. Makes a massive difference, people.
Yeah, it's true.
Money talks.
Yeah.
Money talks,
they
bullshit.
Will have to spend, definitely, to attract. That's what.
Once they get a good manager, players will come there. Once they get a top world-class manager in that club, players will start coming. As soon as Man City got Pep, players want to play for Pep. They start to come in. So players will come. I don't feel bad. I think like what Emeka said, I'm glad it brings more competition to the Prem. And why not?
A lot of them are annoyed about it though, aren't they?
Yeah. And look at PSG. PSG has spent hundreds of millions. Still ain't won the Champions League. It doesn't guarantee you what you're going to get. Look at the players PSG got. Still hasn't. They've come close twice, but they still haven't won the Champions League. Man City still haven't won the Champions League. And these two clubs must have spent over $1 billion by now. Is it over $1 billion they've spent? I'm not sure.
There must be.
They must have spent over $1 billion.
I think probably PSG would be closer to like the $1 billion mark than Man City, purely under financial fair play.
Barry. Honey, yeah.
Oh, we can't hear you.
Must be over $1 billion what they're paying out to try and win and neither club has done so. So it's great them having all that money, but it's how you use it, manage it, and what type of players you bring in. Look what's happened to Barcelona now. It's come back to bite them, hasn't it? Spending all that money, all what they've done. So you've got to be very careful. Everybody's cheering and jumping about, but it's how you manage the money and how you manage the club, where you're just going to be squandering money just down the drain.
Yeah. You've got to make it work, haven't you?
Yeah. So with FSS Mbappe in 2025, I always wanted him to play at St. James's Park. Anything can happen. I kind of do agree in terms of what Coach Barry was saying in terms of it all depends on the manager. And I'd love to get your predictions who you think the next manager will be.
Who's the manager? I can't remember his name.
Steve Bruce.
Who's the manager at Newcastle now?
Steve
Bruce.
Bruce.
Oh, it's gone. Can't hear.
Yeah. So,
Sorry?
Laura, who like do you think is going to be the next manager, or literally will Steve Bruce still be in his position?
Steve Bruce will still be in the position. You know what? If you're trying to attract top players, sacking your manager is not a way to attract top players. Newcastle already have a bad reputation of just getting rid of managers. If you're a top player, why would you want to go there? If you're saying, "Oh, we're building a project," sacking the manager is not a way to kind of show me that as a project I want to be a part of. If people are getting sacked left, right, and centre. I think going back to Barry's point, if you talk about the financial fair play, I think they've got 3 years. That after that point, I think where Mike Ashley's been running in a profit, after 3 years, they're going to have to start now only spending like what they make. And unfortunately, they're not going to get the big TV deals about a market. No one really cares about Newcastle. It's such a small market that if they don't get into Europe within 3 years, then all this money they've got is useless anyway, because they're not going to generate enough money for them to spend all the money they have. So they've got 3 years to get into the Champions League, which they're not going to do, unfortunately, because I know what Barry was saying about 100 grand in London or 250 in Newcastle.
Yeah.
Especially for the foreign players, you want to be a legend. Like, you can be a legend at Man United, or you can be a legend at Newcastle. If you're a top player, you're gonna. Who cares? Like you won the league at Newcastle. It doesn't sound the same as the league for Man United. I won the league for, Arsenal, like a club that has some history. No, who wants to be a Newcastle legend? No one does.
No, well, I mean, I kind of disagree. I mean,
they got Shearer. They got some.
Yeah,
no, it's not it. It's not. You've got Mbappe even saying now he wants to leave PSG to Real Madrid. Why? Because of the history.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that.
PSG, but I want to be someone like, you want to be a legend at Real Madrid. You don't want to be a legend at Newcastle. You could offer him £1 million a week. He'll still say that.
But Mecca, people said that about Man City.
Yeah, no, you're right. But what I would say,
it will happen, but it will just take time. I wonder.
Well, I said that Man City, they didn't have enough competition at the time financially.
So Laura, who do you think
will be the first big name to go? Because it will start. They'll start throwing the money around. Someone will take it.
Yeah, I think Lingard, and I also think Declan Rice. Honestly,
I don't like Newcastle.
I actually think.
Okay.
Oh no!
Honestly, like I just have a feeling.
I tell you, we've had our glory days. That's it.
You think they buy the British players first? To British, they'll start buying British players first.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
exactly the Man City model. Exactly like the Man City model.
They'll buy Saka.
I don't think they'll buy Saka.
No.
Look at Becca's face. Smith Rowe. Let's tell them about Smith Rowe.
This is what I'm saying about the whole Man City thing. When Man City got their money, Arsenal at the time were in the financially. That was when Arsenal had just bought their stadium. They didn't have money to compete. So really, Liverpool weren't competing financially. So in England, it was either United, Chelsea, and that was it.
Yeah.
Whereas now Everton if Everton want to put down 250k a week for a player, they could. Yeah. They're competing with 7 other teams in the Premier League.
Yeah.
So all the top players are not going to. Declan Rice, if someone's going to pay for Declan Rice 60 million, however much West Ham want, he could go to any other club apart from Newcastle, and whatever Newcastle are going to pay him, Man City will pay him, Chelsea will pay him. So you're not going to choose Newcastle over a Chelsea or a Man United.
It depends what midfield you got, though, isn't it? Because
you've seen with
he'll look at Chelsea, and he'll think, I won't get that Chelsea.
They're up there. Chelsea will pay 60 million and leave them in the under 23s.
Chelsea don't need them.
In your career,
leave them in the 23s.
They will. They got that Sal Niguez or whatever. It doesn't matter. They'll buy whoever they need to.
Yeah.
No, I think literally Laura made a good point in terms of it. It all depends on the stages of your career where
you want to spend your last days at Newcastle.
Exactly, it's not going to happen.
I don't know. I just
They'll get
just-
players. Listen, they will get players. They will
Yeah.
get players.
They will get players, but not. That's what I'm
But-
saying. They're going to get the middle tier. You'll get a middle tier player. You won't get anyone good.
The good Barry's man.
Coach Barry, do you support Charlton?
Tell them yes, yes. Tell them yes, I do. What? So what? Yes, I do. I spoke the red, good old Valley. That's right.
And you know what? Rob Lee was a decent player at Newcastle. Asprilla, David Ginola, we're looking at Les Ferdinand. Again, Coach Barry was right, you know.
Asprilla was. I used to love watching Asprilla.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
what's happened though? It's all gone a bit flat, isn't it, since then? That was ages ago.
Shearer
yeah.
can happen.
He
I
had
mean,
hair when he played for them.
but you know, but again, it really came down to money. You know, Shearer was a marquee sign. I mean, don't forget, Shearer opted to go to Newcastle than United. That was a big statement, and you know,
Yeah, I was shocked at that.
Yeah, so yeah, I kind of agree. I think it all depends on the right manager. I think
How they
Newcastle-
manage the money as well. How you manage the money.
Exactly. I think Newcastle will get it right, but I think it's going
I
to
think
take.
it's going to take. I think they like Mecca, Laura. It's going to take them years.
Yeah,
It's not going to be a quick overnight. What some of the fans are thinking. It's definitely not. I'm not saying that. It's not going to be overnight. It's going to take time. And if the financial people play fair, which they haven't done in the past, when they say financial this, financial that, there's loads of clubs that's broken those rules and got away with it with little stupid fines, which you've all seen yourselves.
Yeah. Actually, so like Coach, and actually to Emeka as well. Actually, to all three of you, all of you are like linked to either a non-league club, a grassroots club, and you know, and a kind of youth team. What would you do if, hey, like a an own or like a business person came out and said, look, like I've got 50 grand, however, these are the guidelines in terms of how I'd like this 50 grand to be spent. Do you think you would take that money, or literally would you say, you know what, thanks, but no thanks? And I'll start with Emeka.
Tough question. I think if you take it back to the actual Newcastle thing, Mike Ashley is the way he's been running the club. He's been trying to sell the club for a long time. He's been running it to make it look like a profitable business so he can sell it. So I think, yeah, he wanted to sell it, so he's happy. I think it depends. Like if you're a grassroots club and you actually love the club, Mike actually didn't love the club. He was doing it for money. So yeah, I wanted to sell it. But I think, yeah, if someone's just coming with money, they don't have a passion for football, then probably no, regardless of the money. Because regardless how much money you've got, if you haven't got passion for football and the love for the club, it's not gonna go successfully.
Okay, cool. And Laura, if like Charcoal came into some money, and literally it was your decision, what would you say?
What would I say yes or no, or what would I do with it?
Yeah, I mean, would you say yes or no? And you know, if you said yes, what would you do with it?
I would improve the facilities because the team's fine, but yeah, definitely improve the facilities and just try and make it a bit bigger, and just push it. You know, like I'd invest in the structure of the club, not so much the team, but that's what I would do.
Cool.
Facilitate.
And Coach Barry, same.
Oh, definitely take it.
Yeah.
And invest it. I would invest it in the club. First thing I'd do, I'd want us to have our own ground, own like proper bar and facilities, so we can generate our own money. As long as they gave us time where we could pay back that money, and so it'd help us become self-sufficient. That would be my idea if we collect that money. As long as we've got time to pay back the money, it would help us, put us on the foot to get self-sufficient. But once you've got your own ground and your own bar and stuff, hall and stuff like that, you start generating money for your club. Because you can always hire it out, you can always do this. Especially if you've got like the amount of money 4G pitches bring in is incredible nowadays. Like I said, when I went to Belgium, every semi-pro club had an 11-a-side grass pitch and an 11-a-side 4G pitch. Every club, when we went around Belgium playing the football tour, had that. and they said that 4G pitch was funding, just hiring out the 4G pitch and their hall was funding their whole club. The amount of money was coming in. So you can become self-sufficient if you use the money right.
Mm-hmm. And talking about using the money right, that 50K will end up at a till at Spearmint Rhinos.
It could very well end up there. I've been there.
Very easily.
Nice club, mate. Nice club. Nice club. Does this person know me? This person might know me.
I don't know. But yeah, you know what? That is a good note to
ask them if I've seen them in Spearmint Rhino. I've seen them in Spearmint
Rhino. Still open,
That's funny.
That's a massive COVID risk, that is.
Laura, when you're in there, you forget COVID, mate.
Take your word for that.
Oh gosh. And on that note, let's end the show. Thank you. Thank you so much to Emeka, Laura, and Barry. You've been watching the Amateur Footballer Unhinged. My name is Fabrice.
Everybody have a good evening.
Yep. Thank you guys for
Emeka, don't go, Emeka. I got something to ask you.
Yeah, okay, there you go. So again, thank you so much. We will have a show next week, Sunday. Thank you everyone for watching. Have a wonderful week.
Thank you.